their
Wait.
friends who brought him over. So
Ain't
I
those the
shrugged it
same
off
parents
and
that
assumed
weren't really her
everything was
parents? Hey guys, welcome back for another video. So before we get started on this video, I don't even want to make the intro really long. Basically, I was scrolling through YouTube to find out which scary stories I want to do next, and I didn't just want to click a random one. So since we did November to December, I decided I'm just gonna do it backwards. So yeah, August to October, I want to say. Let me double check. Yeah, August to October. I'm gonna cut out some videos already because we already seen them before. So without further ado, let's start it. This one's called I Almost Kidnapped by Strangers. While they messed up on the grammar so bad.
5 years ago when I was 19. I was conducting an online transaction on a site called Aug-Oct, which is similar to Craigslist. It's an online app where you can see items being sold by random strangers, and all you have to do is make a call and meet up. I was looking for a cheap sweater for my trip to Japan the following week. After several minutes of scrolling, I came across an ad with exactly what I was looking for. A Korean-style female-fur sweater for just 300 pesos. About $6.
It's 300 pesos.
I had issue with it. The meetup point was at the LRT train station at 8 p.m. because the seller was too busy at work. I decided, what the heck?
Nah, bro, you should have told him to ship it.
I called the owner and we had a quick convo.
That's crazy.
He sounded like a strict guy, but I asked him when we could meet up.
It's crazy how these females get finessed out here.
Tonight at 8 p.m. sharp.
At night, sure. Too.
But this recklessness of mine is what I regret the most. I arrived at the meeting place at 7:58 p.m. It was really empty, and I was sure I was the only person in the station. It was a cold night in November, and I eagerly awaited warming myself in my coat.
Why would you wait for him at a train station?
Honestly, I'm the kind of girl who's comfortable wearing a sweater even when it's hot. I was sitting on a bench when the clock ticked 8 o'clock, when suddenly someone covered half of my face with a scarf with a really strange scent.
Oh,
I felt unconscious.
Man. She
As
got
I
that
woke
chloroform.
up, I found myself in a van with 4 guys, my wrists handcuffed behind my back.
I
I asked the man what they wanted
it.
and to please let me go. Tears began to fall from my eyes. But then, one of the guys touched my face and said, "It's our first time ever tasting a beautiful girl like you." I kept on crying and shouted, "Please, I want to go home."
Yo, these guys are weirdos, man.
The guy next to me choked me, shouting that I needed to shut up. I tried to resist.
Out of panic,
my
that boy
eyes started
choked
to roll
her.
back in my head. He stopped.
I'm
It was
sorry,
taking
it's not
a long
funny.
time for me to catch my breath. I looked out the window and saw a checkpoint lane. For the first time in my life, I was so glad that the authorities had permission to check the van. But the guy next to me reached for a gun. A really big gun.
Damn,
Knowing
bro,
this
that
was my
boy was
only
carrying
chance,
an AR.
I found the strength to shout and cried out, "Officer, please help! They have a gun!" The 2 officers immediately grabbed their guns, one shooting at the tires, the other aiming for the man next to me. The officer shot him in the head. I never thought I'd witness such a thing in my life.
Headshot.
One of the officers carried me out of the van, and I passed out moments later. I woke up the next day in a hospital bed. My parents were there, crying and asking me what happened. I told them the truth, that I was buying a sweater online.
Her parents look just like the people in the van.
I cried and cried, saying, "Please help, please help." Since then, I've had to go to a psychiatrist to recover from mental instability and anxiety. And
Yeah, she got messed up, man.
But I never, ever want to buy anything online, ever again.
And she never got her sweater either. That's the worst part. Alright, crazy old guy.
When I was 7 or 8 years old, my parents used to take me to this beach cafe in our town. It had a pool and the cafe was right next to the beach. The family that owned the cafe were my family's close friends, so I spent a lot of my childhood there. The best part about the beach is that when you passed the cafe and the playground, there was a lot of sand and a net for volleyball. As kids, my friends and I would always play there. One ordinary summer night, there was quite a few of us playing in the sand, making castles and doing other things. All of a sudden, I heard a noise behind me in the bushes, right where the sand ended.
You already know.
I should mention that there were woods around the whole place, but it wasn't deep or anything. I was a brave kid, so I just brushed it off as being a cat or animal of some sort, and continued to play. However, when I looked up at my friends who were now quiet
Yo,
and
what
staying
the hell
still,
is that?
I got the chills. I noticed that
Zombie?
all of their eyes had widened. They were staring at me, or rather at whatever was behind me. The shock kicked in, and I felt like I was going to faint. I started shaking.
Well, you better hit
I didn't
it.
even want to turn around.
Oh,
But when
and
I
he got a
felt
butter
something
knife
cold
too.
on the back of my neck, that was the last straw. I started running full speed towards the cafe filled with people, and my friends immediately
You saw how the
followed
last
behind
chick
me.
was running?
There were 6
He
children
running
crying and screaming at the top
He was
of our
running like
lungs.
Scooby-Doo.
I remember finally clinging to my mom and crying in her arms. Soon after, the sound of sirens followed by
Yo.
police cars parked in front filled the air. When the adults talked to the police, my friends and I were confused. I still didn't know what was behind me, so I asked my oldest friend in the group, who was 10 years old and talking to his dad.
Why would the
Turns
adults
out,
talk to the police
there
if
was
the
this
kids were the
crazy
ones
old
that saw
guy
it?
who robbed a lady and stabbed her to death not so far away from here. My friends told me he appeared behind me smiling like a sick clown. He was holding a knife and pressing it against the back of my neck. That must have been the cold thing I felt.
Yeah, that boy was about to
From then
shank
on,
you.
I never stayed far away from the cafe when the sun went down. And thankfully,
I told you,
they caught the guy.
That was creepy, man.
I met a terrible creep at a McDonald's restaurant.
Had Mickey
I was
D's.
running errands with my husband one day when I was 6 months pregnant. The day started out normal as we took the subway together. All of a sudden, I felt nauseous and I could feel that I had to vomit immediately.
Shit, that morning
I
sickness.
quickly gave my bag to my husband and
What is
told
that,
him I
Gucci?
had to run to the nearest bathroom. I bolted away at the next stop as I could not hold it in any longer. As I exited the underground,
Damn.
I ran into the nearest
She moved
restaurant,
pretty fast.
a McDonald's. I hurried to the bathroom, where I passed a middle-aged man who was standing at the entrance of the bathroom. I paid no attention and pushed past him to get in. As I finally arrived to the bathroom, I immediately started puking. I never felt so sick
Gross.
my entire life. That's when the door handle of the bathroom started moving. I quickly pushed the door to keep it closed and yelled that it was busy, but the person on the other side pushed back.
Oh man, that
As
boy trying to get in that
person
bathroom
managed
with
to
you,
push
bro.
harder, I
Just
saw
throw up
the
on him.
guy that was at the entrance. He had curly hair. I freaked out and slammed the door shut and started yelling for help. The man was insistent and kept trying to get in. I started puking again, so I was left with trying to hold the door with my
Open
foot
the door
as
and
he
throw
kept
up on
banging
it.
it harder and harder. I continued yelling in the direction of the
There's
window
no
of the
way you
stall
could fit
as
through
I heard
that
people
window.
saying that there was a girl who needed help.
Oh, okay. I was about to
Suddenly,
say.
the guy stopped banging the door and everything got quiet. I tried to calm myself down while still holding the door shut just in case. Then, I saw curly hair and a hand trying to get me from under the door, which had a pretty large gap.
Pretty large.
I started screaming again as I started kicking his face. At this point, I was desperate. I had
Telling
no
you,
phone,
dog.
no bag, and my husband was probably roaming the city looking for me. Then, I heard a man
Typical
yell,
dog.
and the creep suddenly getting
Husband
away
would get left
quickly.
behind like that.
I kept the door
Told you boys
shut
to catch
and I
up.
heard a male voice telling me to come out and that it was okay. I reluctantly opened the door to find the manager of the McDonald's confused and shocked.
I was like, I don't even know
I
what
told
happened,
him what
dog.
happened and he called the police. With all the commotion, my husband finally found me. When the police arrived, I gave the police a description, but they never found the guy.
That was crazy. True pool horror story.
It was the summer before 9th grade.
Chow was doing it in the pool.
I was at my friend's family pool party, and there were tons of people there. At one point, while my friend, let's call her Lily, went to get some sodas for us, a man came up to me. I didn't recognize him, but since it was my friend's party, it made sense for me to not know everyone there. He smiled at me, He looked as though he hadn't shaved
That boy
in
trying to get
days,
right.
and his eyes never looked quite directly at me. I stepped backwards.
Too scared to make that eye
feeling
contact though.
uncomfortable. Hello, he said. Hi, I replied. What's your name? He asked. I supposed that a first name wouldn't hurt, seeing as we were surrounded by tons of people in my friend's backyard. I'm Carly, I said.
Hi, Carly.
What's yours? Rick, he replied smoothly. Are you having fun with Lily?
Oh yeah, she was getting sauce. You saw, you heard how she said it. He replied smoothly.
His eyes weren't focused, and his breath smelled like alcohol, even though it was early in the day. I grew even more uncomfortable and stepped away, waving goodbye awkwardly. When I turned around, he was gone. I told Lily about this, and she mentioned it to her parents. Her parents said that they didn't know Rick, which kind of freaked me out. But they told me that it could have been one of their friends who brought him over. So
ain't those the same parents that weren't really her parents back in the other video?
After the party ended, Lily and I were having a sleepover at her house.
Kinda think of it.
Her parents had gone
It looks like
over
the same
to her
house
elder
too.
Sister to take some leftovers to her, since she had not been feeling well and couldn't attend the party. So we were home alone with her elder brother. Lily and I were playing a game in her bedroom when her dad called her.
The sequel, well actually the prequel.
Please go and turn off the pool lights, since he had forgotten. Lily agreed, and we stepped outside into the backyard. I waited on the back porch, reading a text from another friend, while she went to turn off the lights. Once she was finished, we stepped back inside, locked the door, and went back upstairs to continue playing our game. At one point, Lily asked me to make sure the curtains were closed properly, and when I did, I happened to look outside, and I noticed that all the pool lights were on again. Lily? I asked, getting a strange feeling.
That boy was going for a late night dip.
You turned off the pool lights, right? Yeah, I did, she replied, coming to look. Now there was a figure swimming laps in the pool, even though we couldn't see his face. It's probably just Cody, Lily replied.
How you not recognize your brother?
Come on, let's go stare.
You know that's not him.
We walked down to the pool and slid open the back door.
Yeah, I would go outside too.
Waiting behind the bushes, we
can't stand y'all, man.
His head bobbing in the water. We were going to jump out and scare him at any moment. But then I looked up at one of the windows of the house. The curtains were open. Suddenly, I saw the face of Cody illuminated as he turned on his bedroom lights.
Bro, that's a nice house,
I grasped Lily's arm, and we both knew
what your parents
the person in the pool was not, in fact, Cody. We hadn't brought our phones with us in case we would get wet, and if we ran back around, there was a chance the stranger could see us before we got back to the house.
Damn,
we tried to wave to Cody,
y'all
but he
fucked
couldn't
up.
see us.
Yeah, Cody ain't paying attention to y'all.
Splashing in the pool stopped. My heart dropped, and I could hear each of my panicked heartbeats.
Oh.
A hand suddenly gripped my arm and flung me forward, and I screamed, and Lily did as well.
Oh, you got her.
And there was Rick. His facial expression, I will never forget.
He looked like he on crack, bro.
Someone with such a creepy smile. I yelled, and soon my mouth was filled with water as he chucked me in the pool, and he actually held me underwater. I choked for breath and realized he had grabbed Lily's arm as well, although she wasn't in the water. He was strong and clearly ill. He yelled, "Time to swim!" Somehow Lily managed to kick him in the face hard enough to run away, slamming the door behind her. He continued to hold
Yo,
me,
he forgot her friend. I mean, she forgot her friend.
Just as I felt
she did. Yo, be your boys, dog. Yo,
threw me on the ground, breaking my arm.
That girl's like, yo, every female for themselves, bruh.
The police came.
Hell nah, bruh. I wouldn't be friends with her after that, bro. Fuck that.
I will never forget that moment. I thought I was truly
Nah, man, that's green.
Nor will I forget those creepy, unfocused eyes.
That's green. She locked the door too, bruh.
I've been terrified to be outside at night, especially in a pool.
Yo. Look at your boy. All right, guys, we're gonna stop it right there, man. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for even watching this video. Stay tuned for part 2. I will put the link in the description below. I know Pablo's in there, so I cut out those videos because we already seen them. But yeah, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And I'm out.